They said we couldn't do it, Todd, but here we are, week 5 of Buffalo Boys, and the first week with our brand new logo. Shout outs to the random graphic designer off of Fiverr for putting that together for us. I love the way it came out. And of course, all the thanks is due to our first and only sponsor at the moment, Doug Black and the good folks at Mattress Blacks. I heard from Doug this week, and our listeners have really responded well. He said orders are flooding the website, and it's great to know that our league members are in need of a better night's sleep. Todd, I know you're a Mattress Blacks customer. How has that new mattress been on your back?
I've been sleeping like Doug at a large party. You know, I've been hitting the hay at 8 p.m. and staying asleep for the whole night.
Wow, that is some sound sleep. What a ringing endorsement. Terrific. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, that is Mattress Blacks. He's got a king-size mattress that is good for your back.
I got a king-size mattress that's good for your back.
If you use promo code BOYS at checkout, you will get 20% off your entire order. Again, that is Mattress Blacks. He's got a king-size mattress that's good for your back.
I got a king-size mattress that's good for your back.
Todd, we are back week 5 once again, as I said earlier. How are you feeling this week?
I'm feeling pretty good, Ryan. The team's only 2-2, like your team, but I think there are positive game scripts on the horizon. So I'm excited for both our fantasy teams and our professional football allegiances. With Kenny Pickett coming back, you got to be pretty excited, Ryan.
Todd, I'm feeling really, really good. I think we kept Trubisky in there a little bit too long. And, you know, even though we lost on Sunday, as soon as Kenny came into the game, you could just tell that the team was fired up. The crowd was fired up. I mean, you know, he really didn't do much, threw 3 interceptions, but it's the start of a new era. And I'm excited to see where Kenny will take us. But enough about that. We're moving into the podcast. And as we do every week, Todd, what are you sipping on?
Thanks, Ryan. I am sipping on a very good bourbon. It's one of my top shelf bourbons. It's a weekend, so I wanted to start strong. It is Willet. It's their 4-year aged rye. It's definitely one of the best bourbons I have and goes down very smooth. I couldn't recommend it enough.
Excellent, Todd. That sounds like a great way to start off your weekend. I personally am drinking water. I've got some plans later tonight, but I will be going hard this weekend, hopefully. It has been quite a week, so looking forward to later. And now, speaking of looking forward to, I'm looking forward to your pick for Quality Control Coach of the Week.
Thanks, Ryan. This week's Quality Control Coach of the Week, the coach or owner who had the most efficient lineup is AJ. AJ had 0 points on the bench. He got the win against Mike Hoyle, who is winless. And he did so with Tua leaving the game early, which was quite impressive, not having more than 3 points at the QB position.
Yeah, that's huge. And of course, for every quality owner, there must be a clown owner. Who's your pick this week, Todd?
Well, I hinted at it in the Quality Control Coach of the Week. It's Mike Hoyle. Mike Hoyle left 12.3 optimal points on the bench after starting DJ Chark, who was ruled out on Saturday a full 24 hours before the game. Disgraceful. If he had started Higbee, he would have easily won, and AJ didn't even have a quarterback for half the game. And that's quite unfortunate for Mike Hoyle, Mr. Winless.
Hoyle, we love you, but come on, man, you got to do better. I'm just saying. But I hope he turns it around. I've got faith in my guy. All right. Thanks for that, Todd. Now, moving forward, we've got bold prediction recap. I will start off with mine. I predicted so wisely that the Bengals would beat the Dolphins. Of course, what happened to Tua, very sad, wishing him all the best. Despite that, Bengals played a really good game. I thought they would turn it around. They sure did. Yeah, I got my bold prediction right. How was yours, Todd?
I'm proud of you. I did not fare quite as well. My bold prediction was that Richie James would be the wide receiver 20 or better. Unfortunately, additional QB injuries also occurred in this game. The Giants QBs both got hurt. And yes, I said QBs because both Daniel Jones went out and Tyrod Taylor took an unnecessary hit and just didn't get out of bounds. And you wonder why he wasn't a starter in the NFL. Richie James ended up only having less than 1 point on the week and was far from the wide receiver 20. But we'll do better this week, Ryan.
I was thinking first we could get into some new trivia. I know we debuted that last week. I think it was a big hit. Can't wait to hear your trivia question this week.
All right, Ryan, it's all on you. So the question this week is, which receiver has had 8 targets for each game this season?
And there's just one.
Minimum of 8 targets. Only one receiver has had 8 or more.
Wow. Boy, oh boy.
The people at home are sending in their guesses right now, and I can feel some right answers coming in. So I'm proud of everyone who's listening right now. I'm giving Ryan some time to stew on this. It's a hard question, but he's got an answer right now.
Okay. Well, I got to start off with the local boy, Drake London.
It was not Drake London, unfortunately. I'll give you 2 more guesses. Who do you got?
I mean, why not wide receiver number 1, Cooper Kupp?
Not even Cooper Kupp has had 8 targets every game this season so far.
Wow.
Do you want to give it one more go?
Yeah. I mean, sticking to the top guys. I mean, what about wide receiver 2, Stephon Diggs?
It's a great pick, Ryan. Unfortunately, he had a less than great week last week against Baltimore in the unfortunate weather the hurricane brought through the Northeast last weekend. Diggs finished with only 6 receptions, so you failed to hit the mark here on your first 3 guesses. You want to know who it is?
I would love to. Yeah.
It is actually CD Lamb.
Wow. Really? CD Lamb. Number 1 in Dallas. Interesting. Okay. That's a great piece of trivia. Another successful trivia segment. I appreciate it as always, Todd. Moving on to another popular segment. Of course, your quick hit stats. I know you've got some good ones lined up, so I can't wait to hear them. And of course, Todd, hit me.
As always, gladly. Ryan, this week's NFL quick hit stats are the following. George Pickens is picking up steam, increasing his target share each week of his NFL career and topping out with a 32% target share last week. Pickett is unlocking Pickens. Moving on to the Falcons, they currently rank 8th in offensive EPA per play, sandwiched between the Buffalo Bills and the Philadelphia Eagles. They're 7th in explosive play percentage, despite Marcus Mariota only averaging 14 completions per game. This offense is taking off, and he wouldn't even know it. Speaking of taking off, Saquon Barkley has the most yards from scrimmage through week 4. He's got 74 more yards than number 2. Big week coming from him against my Green Bay Packers. Not looking forward to it. Speaking of great running backs, Joe Mixon is leading all players in expected fantasy points. But yet, he's not RB1.
Nope. We all know who that is, my boy, Nick Chubb.
Spot on. Speaking of spot on, Geno Smith has the highest completion percentage through 4 games in an NFL season at 77.3%.
Wow. Who would have thought?
What's not spot on, though, is the Broncos. Like we've talked about in previous podcasts, not a lot is going right for them. And I don't know if you caught the game last night, but it was not enjoyable, Ryan.
Yeah, I watched a good portion of it. It was pretty boring. Of course, my boy Hines went down on the first series, which hurt. Yeah, a game I would like to forget in many ways.
Twitter was afire over both the performances last night. However, one positive note is Broncos defense had 34 pressures on only 48 pass rushing snaps. Poor Matty Ice has no time to throw the ball. Speaking of Matt Ryan, though, he had his 36th career fourth quarter comeback. He is tied for 4th, just behind Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, and Drew Brees.
Wow. That's unbelievable. What a stat.
Moving on from the NFL quick hits, let's dive into the WPFL quick hits. Currently, Forrest leads the league in optimal points with 543 points. Good work, Forrest, and you're progressing just as my preseason projections projected. Doug has increased his luck even further than the past few weeks. He is now up to a striking 1.4 more wins than expected. Speaking of expected wins, Ryan, you're doing a great job. You've got 2.92 and you lead the league in expected wins. Moving on, Adler picked up the landmine that I dropped this past week during the waiver wire section, and he picked up Allen Robinson. I hope you enjoy your disappointment, Adler. AJ perfectly outbid Mike S by $1 for Geno Smith. Mike could have really used Geno Smith this week, and I'm seeing a good week for Geno on the forecast. Speaking of bids, though, Adler dropped $43 on Caleb Huntley. You can't feel great about that, especially when the next highest bid was $19. Big waiver wire week with 12 different players added across all of our teams. Props to Doug for being the only undefeated team. Well, he's already giving himself enough props, so maybe I didn't have to say that.
Yeah, for sure.
Weekly reminder, Ryan. Every week we talk about this. 3 of the top 14 kickers are still unowned. What are you guys doing?
They're keeping Randy Bullock. That's what they're doing.
Continuing on, we had a trade this past week, Ryan. We had Jimmy trading Eno Benjamin and DeAndre Hopkins for Brian Robinson and Juju Smith-Schuster right after we recorded last week. It's an interesting trade. My thoughts are as follows. I think Jimmy did a good thing following his Antonio Gibson trade. So he traded for Gibson, which I thought was a bad move. But he traded then for Brian Robinson, which I think is a good move because I think Brian is going to demonstrate this week why he's going to take over for Gibson. So he locked up the Commanders' backfield, and there's already a lot of positive chatter going around this week during practice for Robinson. So I think it's a good move. I'm not big on Hopkins this season or Juju, so I think it's kind of a wash there. So I think Jimmy bested Adler here. Congrats, Jimmy.
Congrats indeed, Jimmy.
For this last quick hit, it's league related, Ryan. I'm going to pose a question to you.
Okay.
Based off the fantasy points generated by rostered players, so only players on WPFL rostered teams, based off their fantasy points on the season, whether they were started or not, which NFL team has produced the most points for the league so far?
Oh, wow. I mean, it's got to be the Lions, right?
They're in the top 5. Rounding out the top 5, Buffalo leads the way, followed by Cincy, Philly, Detroit, and the Chiefs.
Yeah, Buffalo should have been the obvious pick. That makes sense. Absolutely. You touched on some of our transaction review as well. Seamless transition to that. So thank you so much. I guess we'll move right on to matchup rundown recap. I came into week 4, 7-7, 500, nothing wrong with that. And I ended the week 12-9. I went 5-2 last week. Boy, I was on, Todd. I was feeling really good. Yeah, hopefully a similar outcome this week. How did you do last week?
You definitely had a good week. I finished the week 1 less win shy. I finished 4-3. And then I went back through the prior podcasts and I verified all the week's projections since we've done this every week and we had kind of ignored week 1. So taking that into consideration, I have finished these first 4 weeks at 17-11.
Cool, Todd. Well, congratulations. That's great. I guess I will have to go through week 1 and calculate my standing as well. But I'm really liking this 12-9. Hopefully I can add a couple more wins on from week 1. And now might as well get into week 5 matchup rundown. First game we have is AJ versus Neil. Todd, I really like AJ's team, and the pickup of Geno Smith I thought was a tremendous move. As you mentioned in quick hit stats earlier, I've got AJ in this one. What about you?
Same, Ryan. There's not much not to like on his team currently, and at least for his starting roster. He has very little holes. He's got Mixon, Cups, and Diggs, as well as Hunt, that are all in for a big week this week. It looks like Neal is going to start Cam Akers again, and you can't be happy about that. So there's not much hope for Neal on the horizon.
Yeah, him and Mike Hoyle are looking pretty tough, along with our last guest in owner orientation, Mike Simpson. Unfortunately, we've got some pretty bad teams in this league this year. Next game we have for you, Mikey Schwartz against our Commissioner Nixon. Who you got, Todd?
Thanks, Ryan. I've got Nixon over Hoyle, and it's not because of their rosters, although I think the rosters will still speak to this. It's because I just can't trust Hoyle anymore. The past 2 weeks, I've projected that he would overcome his bad luck, and he hasn't. So I'm bought in on the Hoyle bad luck train, and that is a positive influence for Nixon this week.
Choo-choo, get on the train. I'm on the train too. Hoyle had 13 points from Indy D. I think, that's kind of going to be the highlight for him this week. I don't really like this game either way. I think it's kind of a stinker, but I think Nixon has this one in the bag. Moving on, it is my matchup against Forrest. As I mentioned earlier, I was going back and forth between starting Penny and starting Naheem Hines. Obviously, Hines got injured. He gave me 1.3 points. Even going into this matchup, I thought I would really need a good performance to beat Forrest. Unfortunately, it just hasn't started out well. And I don't see it turning around. I think Forrest's team is just too good for me this week.
I'm on the same side, Ryan. Forrest, he was my preseason number one, and his team all has great matchups against you this week. So it's going to be tough for you to pull one out. I hope you do, but it looks like Forrest is going to prevail here, especially, as you noted, with Hines already putting you in the hole.
Yeah, that was tough. All right, Todd, next we got Jimmy versus Dave. Who do you like in this matchup?
I've got Dave over Jimmy, and Jimmy's probably not going to be happy about it. But with the Sun God and Jacoby coming off injury, Gibson ceding carries to Robinson, and Jacoby Myers and Russell Wilson being way overcooked, I give Dave the win.
Yeah, Todd. So I actually picked a winner before the Thursday night game. I had this as my game of the week. I'm going to stick to that. I was picking Jimmy to win. He stuck with Russell Wilson. It worked out for him week 4. Russ did not have a good game yesterday. I think that's going to hurt Jimmy's chances, but I'm still going to go with him. I don't know. I think maybe Austin Eckler is going to go off again. Maybe St. Brown, if he's healthy, I think he's going to go off. So, looking forward to this game, and I'm sticking with Jimmy.
I'm glad we can disagree on a couple, as I got to keep advancing my lead beyond you.
Well, the alleged lead, we're not quite sure yet. I still got to check my week 1 results, TBD on that. All right, Todd, the next game we have is Mike S versus Doug. There's really not much to say here. An 0-4 team versus a 4-0 team. I'm no fool. Doug's got this one in the bag.
I really want to root against Doug, and I hate that I'm fluffing up his ego here, but Mike's team is just too bad to put any confidence in. So it's got to be Doug over Mike. My anticipation is that Detroit cools off against the Patriots defense, and that Mike's team fails to get a win on the season here. But, Ryan, a sneaky prediction here is that Mike will somehow pull out another trade, as he's the trade leader, and he'll get a trade before Sundays, which will result in him somehow eking out a win.
Wow. All right. Okay. I love it. I love sneaky bold predictions, Todd. That's a good one. I guess we'll see. Well, let's get into your game. You versus Adler. I'll let you go first. How are you feeling?
You're too kind. I'm not feeling great, though. I think Adler's got it. My breakouts have not been breaking out. They've more so been breaking down. I've had my top 4 receivers all be on injured reserve for me this season. And that's fantasy injured reserve, not real life injured reserve. So 4 have all missed a full game or more. It's hard to win like that. So I'm going to give Adler the nod here.
Absolutely. I'm doing the same. It's hard to overcome injuries. I feel for you, but yeah, I think Adler has got this one. And finally, Rick versus Mims. I'm telling you, ever since Mims had that sneaky win over me that I should have won if Patrick Mahomes hadn't thrown that last second bomb that turned into an interception and I lost by 1.5. I should be 3-1, Todd. I'm not angry about it. I just want you to know Mims has some serious momentum going into the last two games, going into this game. You know, he could sneak back into the playoff picture. Maybe he could be our champ this year. It's too early to say, but I think he's got Rick's number in this one. Mims is getting the win.
I know you're not angry, Ryan, but I know you are salty based off that commentary, and I would be too. For this week, though, I've got Rick over Mims. This is the first time I picked Rick. So, Rick, I know you're not listening, like we've said in the past, but I hope you appreciate the vote of confidence. My prediction is that Chase will feast against the Ravens secondary, and I'm a little concerned for Brady's shoulder injuries, which leads me, Ryan, to my statement that this is the game of the week. I know you didn't have it, but I think this is our game of the week. Why do I think that? Because Mims currently sits undefeated against Rick. Rick clearly has a chip on his shoulder, hopefully, here. Both teams are 500, so this is an important game. Mims' best game of all time in WPFL history has actually come against Rick. His highest score was 164 against Rick. Plus, this matchup currently looks pretty even with projections at 104 and 112. One of the key points here is that Godwin is not carrying an injury designation this week, but Hawkinson and Hollywood are. Mims' current starting lineup has averaged 109 points per game versus 99 for Rick, but I'm anticipating that Rick's team will pick it up here this week. And that's all the quick hits for why I think Rick will come out ahead.
I love it, Todd. Love to hear it. It's time for breakout of the week. I picked DK Metcalf last week to go off against the Lions. He sure did. I'm going to have a similar pick, a wide receiver against a bad passing defense. And selfishly, I'm going with my boy Noah Brown. I've got him in my starting lineup for Dallas against the Rams. I am predicting that Noah is going to have at least 15 fantasy points. Fingers crossed. I'm hoping so. Yeah. Do you have a breakout of the week this week, Todd?
I think that's a bold prediction, Ryan, with Michael Gallup coming back last week and getting a couple targets, not a whole lot, but I think he'll get a couple more this week. My breakout of the week is Robert Woods. He's been trending up over the past 2 weeks, and I think he's going to have a great game this week. My second breakout of the week, though, is Michael Simpson's tight end group. And why are they a breakout, Ryan? Because they have only scored 1.2 points on the season this year. So anyone getting 1 point or more would be a breakout for him. And I'm excited to see it.
Wait, is that real?
You know, I wish I was making this up, Ryan. I wish I concocted this in a daydream, but it's so sad it's true.
That is awful. Oh, that is so sad. I mean, how do you even do it? Like, you have to be trying to have that happen. Wow. Sorry, Mike. Wow, that's bad. All right, Todd, moving on. It is bold prediction. Unfortunately, my pick this week has to do with your boys, the Packers. I think the Giants and Packers game is going to be a real snoozer. The over-under is 41 points as of Thursday. I'm going to say that there is going to be less than 30 points in this contest. I think it's going to be a defensive battle. It's going to be boring. I mean, call it what you will. I don't think this is going to be a very entertaining game. So that is my bold prediction. What do you have?
My bold prediction, Ryan, is actually in the same game. And I see it a little bit different than you. I think that both of the Packers running backs, A.J. Dillon, Aaron Jones, I bet they both end up with 75 yards of rushing or more. While that might lead to your bold prediction of a boring game, I'm envisioning a pretty good game here. And I think it ends up with the Packers dominating early in the morning before anyone is actually watching the game.
Yeah, I know it will be before I wake up for sure. Those London games are pretty tough. Yeah, I guess we'll see what happens. Good pick there, Todd. All right. Well, finally, our last segment of episode 5, week 5, weekly wager. Do you have a weekly wager this week, Todd?
I do, Ryan. My weekly wager this week is for $5 as usual. First 3 league mates jump in, or anyone on the message boards, feel free to comment, like, and subscribe. Dalton Schultz is going to score less than 6.9 points here, and it ties to the dismal performances of all of Mike Simpson's tight ends so far.
We're really piling on Mike this week, and I feel bad. I guess that's what happens when you're our guest on owner orientation. We shit on you the next week. Okay. Interesting wager. I'm sure there will be some movement on that one. I'm sure there will be some interest. Can't wait to hear about it in the group me. And that is going to do it for episode 5, Buffalo Boys. Todd, as always, it's great to talk to you. Great to continue this fun podcast. I know a lot of people didn't think that we would even get past 2, but here we are, 5, and we're doing it every week and look forward to many more. So good luck to you, Todd, this week. Good luck to your team. Good luck to the Packers. Good luck, everyone listening. We'll see you next time.
Don't get buffaloed.